Shalom, Akim Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving our glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us the truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. Salakia. So yeah, today, Akim, I want to get this, just play this video. Lord's will, this will be a quick lesson. Just basically going into welfare and how Esau used it to destroy our people, and fuck up the family unit, and, a lot of these things, this devil, they'll go around making stereotypical jokes about our people, like that joke about they'll make jokes about how our people have no fathers in the house. How our fathers, especially the so-called black fathers, are bums, this, that, and the third, because they'll bring out their fraudulent statistics, and they'll say, well, you commit all the crime, this, that, and the third, and then, of course, they'll bring out the statistic about single-father homes and shit like that, and, basically Esau's accusing, but at the who's the one pulling the strings that's creating this system to cause Jake to be in these situations is Esau himself. Okay, so, it's like a coach who has a football team who sabotaged his team, and then he goes out and says, I'm the best coach ever, but my team sucks. Look at what they did. You see? I need better players. And it's like, everybody sees through your bullshit, Esau. The whole world is exposing this devil. Okay, on a very high level, including these devils themselves exposing each other, right? You could see the Epstein files, all that shit. That's all over the internet, man. And whether it's real or not, we already know that it's true that that's what they're doing. These billionaires and these high-level elites, they're all raping children, in mass, okay? But nevertheless, we're just going to get back on topic. I'm going to play the video. This is fair use for educational purposes. You know how Esau is. All right.
No.
And then insert.
Did you know the US has a welfare rule that forced black fathers out of their own homes just so their kids could eat? But hidden inside the welfare system was a rule called the man in the house policy. Under this rule, a black mother could only receive assistance if no man lived in the home, not even the father of her own children. Caseworkers came unannounced, opening closets, checking for men's shoes, spotting razors, cologne, or a jacket on a chair. If they found anything that suggested a father was present, the family instantly lost food, rent assistance, heating, everything. This wasn't a mistake. It was a new kind of control built after the civil rights movement, when black unity was rising and families were rebuilding. The same nation that broke black families during slavery found a quieter way to do it, with paperwork instead of chains. By the 1980s, millions of black children grew up without fathers, not because men abandoned their families. And when the damage showed, the media blamed black men for the very destruction policy created. The truth is simple. Welfare didn't fail black families. Welfare was engineered to break them. Did you know the U.S.
Boom,
has a
see that, man? What do you expect from this devil Esau, man? All right, and through the Spirit, this precept came to mind, Psalms 94 and 20. It's often brought out, but it's a banger. This is Psalms 94 and 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Right? They push paperwork to incentivize the so-called black woman to kick the man out of the house, right? And then on top of that, on the other side, you got, of course, feminism, which I just made a video on that with these women who wearing these bull rings, right? So you got this whole womanism ideology telling these Israelite women that they're better than a man, that they need to go work, this, that, and the third, that, basically teaching them to be masculine. And then you got the government incentivizing getting rid of the black man so that they could basically bribe the woman, right? Bribe the woman into kicking the man out of the house, man. All right, let's get this precept real quick, man. Another one just came to mind. All right, where it talks about a gift. or bribe. All right, this is Sirach 7 and 7. Sirach 7 7. It says, um, hang on, that's not it. Salakia, not Sirach. Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. Okay, it says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. A gift, meaning a bribe, right? And basically, that's what Esau Edom did. He bribed our women. He incentivized the so-called black woman to kick the man of the house. Then on the other side, he's teaching her these wicked philosophies, okay, of Babylon, that Babylon wine. Oh, you're a woman, you're superior gender, this, that, and the third. Men are trash. You know, get yourself a nose ring, go get tatted up, go be a hoe. You're a bad bitch. You know, they're still pushing this on our women today. Okay, so again, it's like that one video I made about the food. The food being poisoned, the food, the water, the air. It's a war being waged against our people, man. All right, and Psalms 83 tells you that Esau is the leader of that war, and these other nations are all together to keep the Israelite man down, man. All right, let's go to Psalms 83 real quick, man. Okay, Psalms 83. Okay, it says, for lo, thine enemies, Salakia, Psalms 83, and we're just going to start at verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, right? The Israelites. Who's taking crafty counsel against us? The Lord's enemies. It says, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, right? And they cut us off by, causing us to sin, keeping us in a low vibration state, because they know that the moment we come back to the law, statutes, commandments as a nation, all right, we're untouchable, we're invincible, and the Lord is going to fight for us. But the moment that we sin and we do wickedly and we follow the ways of the heathen, guess what? They could easily overcome us and keep us down for a long time. And so basically the plot is to keep our people down forever, so that, we forget who the Israelites are, so that the whole world forgets who they really are. That's why they got these imposters over there, these Khazars, right? The so-called JEWs over there in Israel today, those are not the Israelites, man. We are the Israelites. Who are the real Israelites? The so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native American Indians. We are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, okay? But there's a giant conspiracy against us, man. And as you can see, without a family unit, okay, that's really going to compromise the nation. All right, the scriptures tells you discipline is important for a child, man. Let's get that. Proverbs 13 and 24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, right? If you don't beat your son and teach him, through discipline, through pain, how's he going to learn, man? He's just going to go out there and do what he wants. He's going to disrespect his elders. He's going to maybe become a mo, or, just do all type of foolish behavior, right? It says, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes, right? Let's get this word betimes, man. Real quick, betimes, H7836, Sahar, and it means to seek early or earnestly, to look early or diligently for, to look for diligently, to seek, right? So basically to inquire early. Yeah, so, from an early age, you want to teach your son right from wrong from a very early age, right? Because there's another scripture that says a bent tree remains bent. Let's see if I can find that. A crooked tree, something along them lines. I heard it somewhere. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit harder to find. But basically, man, the point is made that, it's just common sense, right? You got a kid, you don't want to wait till they're 13 to start beating their ass. At that point, they're damn near, they're an adult. That's an adult. The scriptures talks about being 12 years old, around those lines. As soon as you hit puberty, you're an adult, man. All right. So, basically at that point, you're set in your ways for the most part. That doesn't mean you can't change, but it's just going to be, it's not efficient. It's not profitable. The best age is to do it when they're young. You train them up while they're young. The same way this demonic ass Edomites are poisoning the minds of our children with this education system. Who owns the education system, man? These Rothschilds or Rockefellers, the elite bankers, they own that, right? Just like they own all these under industries, oil, the pill pushing industry, all right? Right? What they call medicine. But basically, they own all these things. And so basically, the school system teaches them from a young age. They're teaching them all these wicked things. You already know. They're teaching them how to be Moes. They're teaching them all this weird shit. All right. But they're not teaching them the things that are profitable. So now you coming home tired as a man, got to teach them all these things. All right. And even then, it's not enough because we're always working, trying to provide in this economy that's constantly draining your pockets. Okay. So imagine how much harder you bringing a child into this world that is so difficult, and now he has to be raised with a single mother, and not even a real woman, a confused woman, because that's what a woman who subscribes to these ideologies of womanism and hating men, they're against the scriptures, man. So it's really a confused woman following in the ways of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay, is really the worst thing for our children, man. And a lot of us had to grow up this way without our fathers in the house. I myself, um, my father wasn't there after, I forget what age, but basically I was a young child when he stopped being in the picture. And I don't know the whole story of what happened, but you can imagine a lot of our people this happened to. Um, you know, this welfare is a big reason why a lot of us ended up with single mothers, okay, looking over us instead of, having both parents in the house. Okay. But I got another precept. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 10. It says, "Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter." Okay, so yeah, we're set up. This whole system is set up so Jake ends up in the street. Okay, it's already hard enough with the way that they treat us. The last one's hired, the first one's fired. But now you got to go into a world without guidance. You got the biggest bootlicker of them all, Eve, teaching your children, how to survive in the world. All right, that's going to cause complete confusion, man. When they actually go into the world, they're not going to be prepared, man. They're not going to, they're not going to know how to do shit. I'm just keeping it real. She's sending her kids out there to die in the real world. And they're going to have to learn the fucking hard way. The hard way by getting, in trouble all the time, getting fired, getting made fun of, getting, people treating you like shit, until eventually you start to learn on your own, But see, that's a big roadblock, you see, showing you our people are cursed, man. Why would they target Jake after they did all this slavery? Like the video shows, after they did all this slavery, they continue to target our people, man. Like the scriptures say, the perpetual hatred, man. Let's get that real quick, man. And the Lord is gonna fuck these Edomites up, man. We're exposing these devils. All right. If I be of the elect, Lord's will I be of the elect. Hey, I'm gonna be a future judge. A judge of the world, a king, priest, and a judge. Okay, the scriptures talks about us being the judges of the world to come. It also talks about being kings and priests. Okay, so we're giving these Edomites their judgment, man. In the world to come, this bullshit is not going to be allowed. All right. Setting up wicked laws to incentivize disorder in the family unit. Right? That's not going to be happening in the world to come. All right. Salaki, I lost my. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Ezekiel 35 and 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, right? The Lord had already punished us for our sins, but Esau took it further, and to this day they don't stop attacking our people, right? Let's see what more we got here. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Verse 7, thus will I make Mount Seir, right? That's another word for the Edomites, most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out and him that returneth, right? These Edomites are going to be finished, man. The Lord is going to destroy America and take down this whole Edomite world empire. It's over. Okay? The kingdom will be translated to the Israelites for all these wicked things that they have done. Okay? That's why the Lord hates the Edomites, man. You see how they are. These people are a cancer on the earth. Every thought they have is to fuck Jake over. Okay? At this point, it's not even about them reaching a high point of enlightenment or them getting ahead. No, it's just about keeping Jake down, man. You know, because all these nations, if they really wanted what was best for everybody, they would just let us rule. And through us ruling, they would be happy themselves, man. Even though they'd be under us, they'd be in their rightful place and they would be happy, man. Just like the modern woman, if she would just learn how to submit to a man, yes, she would now have to be under the man, but guess what? Being in that right position, now she can actually be happy and enjoy being a woman. Now her hormones will balance out. You know, when a woman acts masculine and all that, you know, it boosts her testosterone, it lowers her estrogen, and what does it do? It fucks her body up. That's why these women have depression, anxiety, all these things, because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they would just go into their natural feminine state, guess what, man? The hormones would balance out, depression would go away, those headaches would go away, all them health problems they got. You see? When you live an unnatural life against the laws of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, what does that do? It causes death, right? The wages of sin is death. That's the lesson of this whole reality that we're living in, man. Okay? And the Lord is going to make an example of this country, America, man. It's going to be left as a memorial. It's going to be the only nation that will not be ever rebuilt. Okay? It's going to be a desert forever, a wilderness, right? It's going to be like a giant museum, you know? People are going to look at it and be like, damn, that was that terrible place, man. You know, it's going to be a memory of what happens when wickedness rules the earth. Okay, because you can see, man, we're hitting these little pockets of wickedness with this video. Okay, but we could really go deep and bring out hundreds of things equally as bad surrounding the same topic of the family unit being destroyed. You see? It's just freaking crazy, man. It's like you could go deeper and deeper and deeper. Where does this man's wickedness end, man? It never ends. All right, this is Micah 2 and verse 1. And I love the title here, Woe, which means destruction to oppressors. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, right? These Edomites, what they do is at night before they go to bed, they think about ways to fuck Jacob. Okay? It says when the morning is light, they practice it, right? As soon as the sun comes up, now it's time to put those plans into practice. They brainstorm all night. They're visualizing how to fuck Jacob, right? More specifically, these international elite banking families, right? These Rothschilds, Rockefellers, okay? Because they're all in on that conspiracy of Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Okay, they're in on that conspiracy, and then they send their leaders down the chain, or they send their orders down the chain of command, right? The things they think up at night, you know, they wake up in the morning, they go ahead and frame mischief into law, they give out their orders to the puppet leaders below them and have them do their bidding. And it always ends up being something to fuck Jacob. All right. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, right? The Lord has given the kingdom to these Edomites for now, man. Okay, so they rule the earth in wickedness. And, like the scripture says, the Lord sets up over the kingdom the basest of men. Okay, so that's the only reason these so-called white people are in power, man. That's the only reason they're in power. Okay. Let's see. Let me get a precept real quick. This is Daniel 4:17. It says, this matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth over the kingdom of men. Right? So the Most High Yahweh, he's the ruler of the earth. Okay, no nation comes into power unless Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai has ordained it. Alright, it continues. And giveth it to whomsoever he will. Right, so the Lord sets up who he wants and setteth up over it the basest of men, which means the lowest. Right, that's these Edomites, these so-called white people. Okay, and again, we've gone over in many other videos why the Lord put the wickedest of all nations in power for now. Okay, and one of the reasons is because we went off by sinning against the Lord and we didn't keep the covenant, right? So what did the Lord say in Deuteronomy 20:56? And before we get to that, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 47. Because thou servest not Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, right? Because we didn't serve the Lord and obey his commandments. What? Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies. Who are enemies? These Edomites, the so-called white people, right? And even all these other nations. Okay, so this prophecy is saying we're going to serve our enemies, and that has happened all throughout history. We've been slaves. The so-called or the Israelites, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, we served slavery in Egypt, right? You could see the hieroglyphs on the or not hieroglyphs, the pictures of our people serving slavery in the pyramids, okay, and in the different tombs and whatnot. Okay, we were in Assyria, we were in Babylon, we were in Rome, we were in Greece, we were in Medo Persia, so on and so forth, and now in America, right? Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, right? So the Lord sent the Edomites against us, the same Edomites who rule the earth, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in the want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? And he's done that. They put us through slavery, chattel slavery, utterly destroyed us mentally, physically, right? And Jake is still destroyed mentally, to the point where Jake can't figure out the reason he don't have a father is because of Esau, man. All right, or if he does figure it out, it stops there. He doesn't think deeper and goes into, okay, well, the scriptures told us this all along, man. You see, this is the punishment of our iniquity, man. Okay, let's keep going down. And another one of the curses, it says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, right? Our women used to be the most beautiful, feminine women in the world. The so-called black woman was the most beautiful, feminine woman in the world, man. Okay? What does it say? Her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. You see? And it also talks about cannibalism if you keep reading, which that's coming back in a major way because the economy is finna collapse. And these same so-called black women that are getting their children deleted in the womb, hey, they're going to be eating their kids too, man. All right, but the point that I'm making here is that she will have an evil eye toward her husband and toward her sons and daughters, man. And that's what she's doing with this welfare, man. She's so selfish that she wants to follow this new philosophy of womanism and kick the man out of the house, not knowing she's destroying the life of her son, her daughter, and her own life, and the man's life. So Esau, using his pit bull, Eve, has single-handedly destroyed the nation of Israel. You see? And there's going to be a very hefty price to pay for this, man. And the scriptures told us these devils would do this, man, because these devils are deep. They're not stupid, man. Let's get Psalm 64 and 5. Let's see. Yeah, we'll start at Psalm 64 and 5. It says, they, right, these international banking families, these elites of the Edomites, these so-called white people, it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily, right? So they talk about laying traps privately, traps for Jake. And they're laying all types of traps. Okay, this is a trap. This welfare system is a trap. On the surface, it looks good. Oh yeah, help the poor women and the children. But what it's really doing is just to get the man out of the house. Because the man is the head of the house. That's where logic, order, that's where that comes from. But with the woman, it's nothing but chaos. So, that's how you destroy a nation. You put the man and the woman against each other, and you give the woman power so that the man cannot put the woman in her place. And so therefore, letting the woman lead just destroys everything, right? So let's go back to, let's see, where were we? Real quick. Psalm 64. It says, they say, who shall see them? Verse 64. They search out iniquities, right? They search out all these evil methods. They accomplish a diligent search, right? They're sitting there. They have all day. They don't have jobs. They don't have any worries or cares. They have more than hearts could wish. The scriptures talks about that. They got trillions and trillions of dollars. Money is nothing to them. They've got gold. They've got land. They own oil. They own everything. They own all these corporations. They own your government, the military. They own everything, man. These international banking families, man. Okay? It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, right? Because they have the time and the power to sit there and brainstorm until they figured out and concocted the perfect plan, man. I mean, dude, you can't sit here and think that this is a coincidence, man. You got to be out of your mind. This was a perfectly well-crafted plan to sneakily destroy the family unit in such a way that the people don't revolt because they don't know what the hell's going on. It just looks like a giant coincidence if you're simple-minded, right? Which the Lord has ultimately blinded you if you think that. It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart, which is the mind, is deep, right? So their minds think deeply, man. These are not simple-minded people. These are the rulers of the earth. These dark overlords, man. Okay? And let's see if I got another one. That's pretty much all I wanted to go into today, Yasharala. Just something quick going into, another one of Esau's traps exposed for the whole world to see, man. And you know what? I'm gonna bring out one more in Obadiah. Let's see. Obadiah 1 and 6. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right? This is one of their hidden things. Okay? And a lot of people knew about it, but a lot of people didn't. Now it's on the screen for the whole world to see. All right? And it's been getting exposed. And now we're bringing it out, filtering it through the scriptures, showing you what it is, man. Okay? So yeah, man, with that, we'll finish.
Welfare rule that forced black fathers out of their own homes just
We're
so
gonna play
their
it one more
kids could
time,
eat.
just so we can see, because it's, let's play it one more time, and then we'll close out.
No.
And then insert.
Did you know the U.S. has a welfare rule that forced black fathers out of their own homes just so their kids could eat? But hidden inside the welfare system was a rule called the man in the house policy. Under this rule, a black mother could only receive assistance if no man lived in the home, not even the father of her own children. Caseworkers came unannounced, opening closets, checking for men's shoes, spotting razors, cologne, or a jacket on a chair. If they found anything that suggested a father was present, the family instantly lost food, rent assistance, heating, everything. This wasn't a mistake. It was a new kind of control built after the civil rights movement, when black unity was rising and families were rebuilding. The same nation that broke black families during slavery found a quieter way to do it, with paperwork instead of chains. By the 1980s, millions of black children grew up without fathers, not because men abandoned their families. And when the damage showed, the media blamed black men for the very destruction policy created. The truth is simple. Welfare didn't fail black families. Welfare was engineered to break them. Did you know? The US has a welfare rule that forced black fathers out of their own homes just so their kids